Why are some green card holder and visa students are being targeted for deportation under new U.S. policies? Under the Trump administration's stricter immigration enforcement, a growing number of green card holders, international students, and legal visitors are being detained or deported, sparking widespread fear and confusion even among those with long-standing ties to the U.S. Recent reports have raised concerns about the rising number of green card holders, international students, and other foreign nationals facing detention and deportation amid the Trump administration's stricter immigration enforcement. These cases point to a growing trend of detentions at airports, immigration checkpoints, and other entry points, fueling widespread anxiety over the direction of U.S. immigration policies. Several high-profile incidents have emerged in which individuals with long-term legal status or strong ties to the U.S. have been detained or faced deportation for reasons seemingly unrelated to criminal activity. The shift toward more aggressive enforcement, particularly targeting politically engaged foreign nationals or those with past legal issues, has sparked widespread uncertainty about the potential impact of these policies on students, professionals, and families living in the U.S. Yansio Chong, a green card holder at Columbia University. Yansio Chong, a 21-year-old legal permanent resident from South Korea, is currently facing deportation under the Trump administration's tougher stance on immigration. Having moved to the U.S. at the age of 7, Chong is enrolled at Columbia University, where she has participated in pro-Palestinian protests. The administration claims that her presence in the U.S. undermines U.S. foreign policy, a rationale similar to the one used in the arrest of Mahmud Khalil. On March 24th, Chong filed a lawsuit against the administration. According to the New York Times, while Chong wasn't a leading figure in the protests at Columbia, she was among those arrested during a protest at Barnard College. ICE officials visited several residences on March 13th and searched Chong's university housing in connection with a broader criminal investigation into Columbia University, with a warrant referencing the harboring statute. Despite the ongoing efforts to detain her, Chong remains free as of now, and her lawyers are withholding her location. Mahmud Khalil, a former Columbia University student and a green card holder. Mahmud Khalil, a green card holder and former Columbia University graduate student, has also become a focal point in the Trump administration's immigration enforcement practices. According to reports, Khalil was arrested under claims that his presence in the U.S. was detrimental to foreign policy interests, a move that has raised concerns over politically motivated deportations. Khalil's case aligns with the administration's broader crackdown on individuals linked to controversial political movements. His arrest has drawn attention to how the administration is increasingly scrutinizing green card holders and visa students, especially those engaged in political activism or protest movements. Mamadou Tall, a Cornell University doctoral student. Mamadou Tall, a dual citizen of Gambia and the UK, is facing potential deportation due to his involvement in pro-Palestinian protests at Cornell University. Tall, a student on a visa, has been told by ICE to surrender himself, according to court filings by his lawyer. In 2023, Tall, along with other pro-Palestinian activists, disrupted a career fair at Cornell's Ithaca campus due to the presence of arms manufacturers. Following the protest, Cornell University barred Tall from attending in-person classes this spring, but did not expel him. Tall's involvement in the protest made him a likely target for deportation under the Trump administration's crackdown on politically active students. To preemptively prevent his deportation, Tall and his lawyer filed a lawsuit against the U.S. government, targeting of students and scholars. One of the more concerning aspects of these deportation efforts is the targeting of students and scholars, particularly those who may have engaged in political activism. A prominent example is Ranjani Srinivasan, a 37-year-old Fulbright scholar from India. As reported by the New York Times, Srinivasan's visa was revoked on March 5, 2025, allegedly as part of the Trump administration's crackdown on Columbia University students linked to pro-Palestinian protests. Srinivasan, who had been living in the U.S. on a student visa, had attended rallies calling attention to human rights violations in Gaza. Srinivasan's legal troubles escalated when ICE agents attempted to detain her on March 7, 2025. According to her roommate, as reported by the New York Times, the agents initially identified themselves as police, but did not provide any badge numbers or show their IDs. The roommate did not let the agents into the apartment, and Srinivasan eventually fled to Canada that evening. This video highlights the troubling intersection of political dissent and immigration enforcement, with Srinivasan later accused by the Department of Homeland Security of supporting Hamas, a claim that has been widely disputed by her legal team. Fabian Schmidt's case, a green card holder under scrutiny. Another high-profile case involves Fabian Schmidt, a 34-year-old electrical engineer from Germany and a green card holder living in New Hampshire. As reported by GPH, Schmidt was detained on March 7, 2025, upon returning to the U.S. from a trip to Europe. Schmidt's mother has alleged that he was subjected to violent interrogation for hours at Logan Airport in Boston, where he was pressured into surrendering his green card. Schmidt reportedly collapsed from the stress of the interrogation and was briefly hospitalized. He was later transferred by IC to the Wyatt Detention Center in Rhode Island, where he remains. Schmidt's case is complicated by a past misdemeanor charge of marijuana possession in California in 2015, which was later dismissed due to changes in state law. However, the incident was apparently enough to raise questions about Schmidt's status during his re-entry to the U.S. The U.S. government, as reported by GPH, has denied claims of mistreatment, stating that proper action was taken when Schmidt was found with drug-related charges and attempting to re-enter the country. The story of Camila Munoz and her husband's ordeal, the targeting of green card holders and visa students, has also affected individuals with families, particularly those who have overstayed their visas. Camila Munoz, a Peruvian immigrant, was detained by ICE agents at an airport checkpoint on March 7, 2025, as she attempted to fly back to Wisconsin from her honeymoon in Puerto Rico. As reported by USA Today, Munoz had overstayed her visa in 2020 after COVID-19 travel restrictions delayed her return to the U.S. She and her husband, Bradley Bartell, had applied for her green card, which was in process. Despite their legal proceedings, Munoz was detained, separated from her husband, and sent to an IC facility in Louisiana. Bartell, who had voted for Donald Trump in the 2024 election, expressed shock and confusion at the detention, particularly given that Munoz had been vetted during her visa process. The couple's case underscores the unpredictable nature of the immigration system under the current administration, where even those who have followed legal procedures may find themselves caught up in enforcement actions. The case of a Mexican-American child with brain cancer. Sometimes, even U.S. citizens can be affected by the harsh immigration policies. In February 2025, a 10-year-old U.S. citizen who had been receiving treatment for brain cancer in Texas was removed from the country along with her undocumented parents. The family, as reported, had been traveling from Rio Grande City to Houston for medical treatment when they were detained at an immigration checkpoint. The parents, who had previously traveled with the necessary medical documentation, were arrested because they could not produce legal immigration papers. The child, who had undergone surgery for brain cancer and was in recovery, was placed at risk when her parents were deported, leaving her medical care in limbo. This case highlights the profound impact that U.S. immigration policies can have on families, particularly when the deportation of parents also affects children who are U.S. citizens. Jessica Brashi's detention in a U.S. facility. Another case that drew attention to the policies affecting foreign nationals was that of Jessica Brashi, a 29-year-old tattoo artist from Berlin, Germany. As reported, Brashi was detained on January 25, 2025, after attempting to enter the U.S. on foot at the San Isidro border crossing. Despite having an ESTA for visa-free travel, Immigration and Customs Enforcement officials suspected that Brashi intended to work in the U.S. because she was traveling with tattoo equipment. ICE detained Brashi and transferred her to the Otay Mesa Detention Center in California, where she was held for 46 days before being deported to Germany on March 12, 2025. Brashi described her time in detention as a harrowing experience, spending 8 days in solitary confinement. ABC 10 News reported that the company running the detention center, CoreCivic, denied these claims of solitary confinement, stating that Brashi was not held in restrictive housing. However, Brashi's testimony paints a grim picture of the conditions faced by detainees in these facilities. The lengthy detention raised questions about the fairness of the process and the treatment of individuals held in ICE custody, even when they have legally entered the country under the USDA program. Lucas Ilaf's ordeal at the border. Similarly, Lucas Ilaf, a 25-year-old German tourist, found himself caught up in the immigration crackdown. Silaf had been visiting his American fiancée, Lennon Tyler, who lives in Las Vegas. As reported, Silaf was detained on February 14, 2025, at the San Isidro border crossing after attempting to re-enter the U.S. from Tijuana. He had obtained an USDA for his visit and had been in the U.S. previously without issues. However, during questioning, Silaf's answers were misunderstood due to a language barrier. Officers misinterpreted his response about where he lived and accused him of overstaying his USDA. As a result, his USDA was canceled and he was detained by ICE. According to Tyler, as reported by the New York Times, officers became very aggressive and hostile when she tried to inquire about the situation. She was even subjected to a body search by ICE agents while waiting for answers. Silaf was transferred to the Otay Mesa Detention Center, where he was held for 16 days before being deported to Germany on March 6, 2025. Tyler and Silaf's family made numerous calls to immigration authorities, hired lawyers, and worked with the German consulate to secure his release. Eventually, he was allowed voluntary deportation, but not before his fiancée had to pay nearly $3,000 for flight back to Germany. This case illustrates the complex and often harsh realities that foreign nationals face when caught in the immigration system, even when they have valid visas or USDA authorizations. Jasmine Mooney's detention and unclear reasons for enforcement. Jasmine Mooney, a 35-year-old Canadian entrepreneur, faced a similarly troubling situation in late 2024. Mooney, who had been living in Vancouver, discovered that her U.S. work permit had expired after 3 years. As reported by the New York Times, she decided to travel to Mexico in November 2024 to attempt to obtain a new permit at the San Isidro border crossing. However, upon her attempt to return to the U.S., Mooney was detained by U.S. immigration authorities and transferred to ICE custody. Despite her clear intent to renew her work visa and the fact that she had not been previously flagged, Mooney found herself in an ICE facility under harsh conditions. She was shackled for up to 24 hours in a row, sleeping on a mat without a blanket, and enduring long periods without adequate food or rest. People magazine reported Mooney's account of these conditions, describing them as inhumane and feeling like a deeply disturbing psychological experiment. Mooney was eventually freed after 12 days, but the reasons for her detention remain unclear. She was never provided with an explanation as to why she was detained in the first place, leading many to question the transparency and fairness of U.S. immigration enforcement under the current administration. What do these cases reveal about U.S. immigration policy? The cases of individuals like Fabian Schmidt, Ranjani Srinivasan, Camila Munoz, Jessica Brashi, Lucas Ilaf, and Jasmine Mooney all point to the harsh realities many immigrants are facing under the current administration's immigration policies. While each case differs in its specifics, they share common themes of uncertainty, confusion, and in some cases, mistreatment by U.S. authorities. One of the key issues at the heart of these cases is the lack of clarity regarding what constitutes grounds for detention or deportation. Individuals who have legally entered the U.S., whether as green card holders, visa students, or tourists, are often left in the dark about what triggers enforcement actions. Furthermore, many detainees are subjected to long periods of detention in often subpar conditions, with little to no explanation or recourse available. The recent actions taken by U.S. immigration authorities have sparked criticism both domestically and internationally. Human rights advocates argue that these policies disproportionately target individuals based on their political beliefs, national origins, or past legal troubles rather than any actual criminal activity. As these cases continue to unfold, it remains to be seen how U.S. immigration policy will evolve and whether these harsh enforcement tactics will continue to impact the lives of foreign nationals in the U.S. These incidents reveal a troubling shift in U.S. immigration policy, where legal status no longer guarantees safety and politically active or non-criminal individuals are increasingly targeted, raising concerns over human rights and due process. That is all for today in this video. What are your thoughts on this? Please let us know in the comments section below. Thanks for watching the entire video. Hopefully, the information is useful to you. See you later in the next video. Till then, take care.
Why are some green card holders and visa students are being targeted for deportation under new US policies? Recent reports highlights a sharp rise in a detention and deportation of green card holders, international students and other foreign nationals under the Trump administration intensified immigration enforcement. This trend has sparked fear and uncertainty, especially among individuals with a legal status and a strong ties to the US, as they are increasingly detained for reasons unrelated to criminal activity. One such case involves Yansio Chong, a South Korean green card holder and Columbia University student, who faces deportation or for participating in a pro-Palestinian protest despite not being a protest leader. ICE searched her dorm citing a broader investigation. Similarly, Mahmud Khalil, a former Columbia student and green card holder, was arrested for allegedly undermining US foreign policy, a move viewed as politically motivated. Mahmoud a Gambia British doctoral student, Aid Conan, is also facing deportation for protesting government. After disrupting a career fair over arms manufacturers participation, he was banned from classes and filed a lawsuit to block deportation targeting politically active students and scholars. Another concern, exemplified by Ranjani Srinivasan, a Fulbright scholar, whose visa was revoked after attending protest. ICE agents attempted to detain her, prompting her to flee to Canada. She was later accused of supporting Hamas, an allegation disputed by her legal team. In another case, Fabian Schmidt, a German green card holder, was detained at Logan Airport due to a past marijuana charge. He was allegedly mistreated during interrogation and remained in ICE custody despite the charge being dismissed. Camila Munoz, a Peruvian immigrant, was detained returning from her honeymoon despite an online green card application. Her husband, a Trump supporter, expressed disbelief at the incident, revealing the unpredictability of enforcement. Even US citizens are affected. A 10-year-old girl with a brain cancer was left without her parents, who were undocumented and detained while traveling for treatment. Other troubling cases include Jessica Brochet and Lucas Seilert, German nationals detained despite valid travel authorization, and Canadian interpreter Jasmine Mohe, held in ICE custody under harsh conditions after seeking to renew a work permit. These incidents reflect a harsh immigration landscape where legal status offers no guarantee of protection, and enforcement often appears arbitrary, politically motivated, or inhuman.